NBC 10 breaking news.
Breaking news in the search for these 4 missing men in the last 30 minutes. The Bucks County District Attorney said he's going to announce what he called a major development in the case. That update will happen at midnight, and NBC 10 will bring it to you live.
This breaking development comes as investigators work late into the night. Skyforce 10 showing them right now in Solebury Township at that property they've meticulously searched for 3 straight days.
Also tonight, the man police call a person of interest is back behind bars. Skyforce 10 got our first glimpse of Cosmo DiNardo right here earlier today outside the Bucks County Jail.
NBC 10's Brandon Hudson has uncovered new details about DiNardo's past, but we begin with the new charges he faces tonight.
Drew Smith has those details for us as investigators continue their search in Solebury Township. Drew.
And Jacqueline and Jim, we can tell there are major developments happening down here because the past few nights there has not been this kind of activity. Again, we have those live pictures from Skyforce 10, which shows you the area they've zeroed in on this family farm. They've set up tents. They've been sifting through the dirt. They've been digging deep into the ground. And in just about an hour from now, we expect to hear again from the district attorney with at least a little bit more information about what they've found. Person of interest Cosmo DiNardo is back in custody and held on $5 million bail, less than a full day after his release. The new stolen car charge based on detectives saying DiNardo had one of the missing men's cars on his family's property and tried to sell it for $500. In court, prosecutors also revealed DiNardo was diagnosed schizophrenic. They claim he's a danger to himself and others. Emotions are running high at the search scene, at one point escalating into a fight after one relative of a missing man began to speak with a reporter. Neighbors don't know how they're holding up.
I really feel horrible for all the family.
The district attorney says they are going to find something.
I'm very encouraged by that, at the least, that we're going to get some finality.
Tonight, trucks were in place to move evidence on a farm owned by DiNardo's parents. Retired FBI Special Agent J.J. Claver tells us teams are likely using dogs, ground-penetrating radar, and excavators to search for instruments of a crime and human remains.
They're going to be using some both sophisticated technologies and some kind of old-school detective work. You know, they're going to be sifting through, digging with shovels. They'll grit out the whole area. And NBC 10 can confirm that DiNardo has a new lawyer. His parents have also retained legal counsel who says they are cooperating with law enforcement as much as they can. We're live in Solebury Township. I'm Drew Smith, NBC 10 News.
All right, Drew, and our team coverage continues now with NBC 10's Brandon Hudson. He's outside one of the DiNardo's other properties in Bensalem.
Brandon, you've been taking a closer look at Cosmo DiNardo's past.
Jacqueline and Jim, Cosmo DiNardo's past reveals quite a contrast to the 20-year-old who is now facing gun and stolen car charges. First off, he grew up in a neighborhood where some of these homes are close to $500,000. He graduated from a Catholic private college prep school 2 years ago, had ambitious goals for college, and was a member of his community. Jordans, gun clips, and ammo shown in pictures shared on Cosmo DiNardo's Flickr account, a social media photo sharing site. Police have not said if there is a connection between the gun paraphernalia and DiNardo's gun charges. NBC 10 learned DiNardo is the heir to a massive 68-acre farm in Bucks County. Property records show the property is worth more than $5 million. His parents will also pass down other real estate properties in Bucks and Montgomery counties. Growing up in Bensalem, DiNardo graduated from Holy Ghost Preparatory School in 2015. The all-boys Catholic school is ranked one of the top private high schools in Pennsylvania. We found after graduation he went to Arcadia College briefly. In an article posted on the college's website, DiNardo, a then biology major, talked about studying abroad. Those dreams are short-lived as he's now the center of a missing men case that has gripped Bensalem.
It's scary. I have little kids. I'm a member of this community, and it's scary.
That's pretty much my whole news feed now. It's just everything I see on social media, on like Facebook, Snapchat, different things like that.
We spoke to Bensalem's mayor tonight off camera. He did confirm that DiNardo was a member of Bensalem's Drug and Alcohol Advisory Board in 2016, but he quit. Live in Bensalem, I'm Brandon Hudson, NBC 10 News.
Again, investigators are planning to announce a major development in this case at midnight. NBC 10 will bring that to you live. You can also watch it live on the NBC 10 app.
I'm Jim Rosenfield along with Jacqueline London with breaking news in the search for those 4 missing men in Bucks County.
The district attorney is speaking right now, revealing what the DA's office calls a major development in this case. Let's listen in.
We have found human remains in an approximately 12.5-foot deep common grave that we have painstakingly dug with a lot of care so as not to damage any potential evidence. And I'm very, very sad to say that we can now identify Dean Finocchiaro, 19 years old, of Middletown, as one of the people that was found buried in that grave. He's been missing since Friday. We notified his family that we have recovered his body. There are additional human remains inside that grave. So this painstaking process will go on. We're not done yet. This is a homicide, make no mistake about it. We just don't know how many homicides. We are yet to know the answer to that question. And I want to let you know that we reiterated over and over again, and it goes to say one more time to the families that we're strong, and we're going to remain strong, and we're going to see this investigation to the end, and we're going to bring each and every one of these lost boys home to their families one way or another. And we will not rest until we do that.
NBC 10 breaking news.
Our 20 minutes of nonstop news begins with this. 2 main arenas of action today in the Bucks County murder mystery. You're looking live from Skyforce 10 at what is now a crime scene in Sulbury Township, a farm where investigators say a 12-foot deep hole is the gravesite of at least one young man. The other scene, the Bucks County courthouse on the right there in Doylestown. Sources tell NBC 10 the parents of the man in the spotlight in this case are testifying before a grand jury today. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jim Rosenfield.
And I'm Jacqueline London. It is a case that is shrouded in secrecy and has transfixed people in our area and across the nation. It began more than a week ago when the first of 4 Bucks County people vanished. Here's what we know right now. Investigators reveal they are making progress today as they dig in the dust and heat, trying to identify human remains found at the farm. They've already ID'd one set of remains as that of 19-year-old Dean Finocchiaro, but other human remains have not been publicly identified. The discoveries are being made in a 12-foot deep hole that is getting deeper by the minute. The DA isn't saying yet exactly what was involved in this murder mystery. Cosmo DiNardo is being held on $5 million bail. He is officially called a person of interest. DiNardo's parents own the farm where those remains are being dug up.
An NBC 10 team of reporters is dedicated to this major event that's making national headlines, from the search in Sulbury Township to the grand jury proceedings in Doylestown and any possible connection between Cosmo DiNardo and the 4 men.
It has really been an emotional day for family and friends of Dean Finocchiaro, the 19-year-old who was identified here in Sulbury Township late last night.
We kind of had like a big brother, little brother relationship, he and I. And I never had a little brother, so it was tough when he was taken from us.
Today, NBC 10's Lauren Make spoke with some friends of the young men.
Of the 4 missing, he's the first to be found. Dean Finocchiaro, the death of the 19-year-old hitting loved ones hard.
He was one of the funniest guys I've ever met. He had a smile that would just hug you as soon as he seen you.
Bill Tosti worked with the teen at a local business where friends and strangers are stringing together memories in colored paper. Remembering the young man who confided in him is emotional.
We kind of had like a big brother, little brother relationship, he and I. And I never had a little brother, so it was tough when he was taken from us.
Dean Finocchiaro is one of 4 young men whose mystery disappearance is agonizing family and loved ones.
The longer it went without resolution, the sadder it became for us.
At St. Andrew in Newtown, they're praying for all of them, but with personal heartache for the family of Jimmy Taro Patrick. Patrick went to Holy Ghost Prep, the same school as the man considered a person of interest in his disappearance. Patrick went on to Loyola University in Maryland, and back home, Monsignor Michael Picard has known Patrick all his life.
I baptized Jimmy as a baby, and so I've known him for 20 plus years as well. Really great kid.
He describes Patrick as quiet and polite, raised by his grandparents and a regular at this church.
He's one of our own. He's our family here.
In Bucks County, I'm Lauren Make, NBC 10 News.
What's going on under that tent? We keep seeing this image from Skyforce 10. They are under that tent and they are in this deep, deep hole. What are they doing inside there?
Well, they are as carefully as they can. They're excavating and digging out the remains. They obviously have to recover the bodies. It's evidence, but it's also, you know, a loved one's remains. So they have to recover those remains carefully and respectfully, but also have to preserve the evidence so that they can tie those remains to this person of interest. Obviously, from the criminal case, the criminal prosecution, now they have to show that this person of interest, they can charge him with these crimes and with these murders. So it's a very complicated process to excavate, especially if it's that deep, because now you've got to get down there with heavy excavation equipment. But you've got to be careful. You don't want to damage the evidence. So now they're probably using hand shovels, small trowels. They're going to be sifting, looking for evidence. If someone is shot, there's a bullet. Is that bullet in the ground?
Right.
They need that bullet.
I'm Erin Coleman. We're live in Solebury Township right now, Bucks County, where that search for 3 of the 4 missing men continues. This is all happening about 4 miles away from one of the trendiest, ritziest parts of Upper Bucks County, New Hope. We went to New Hope, Pennsylvania, where everybody is talking about this, and they're pretty stunned.
You must be.
It's the quintessential small town feel in a secluded part of Bucks County. Flag-lined streets and little boutiques right on the banks of the Delaware River.
It's a beautiful area. That's why we're here.
But visitors like Clint Schultz know what's happening just up the road. He heard about it before he left home.
They're talking about in Pittsburgh.
It's just not something that happens in this area at all. It's a very, very safe environment. And, like the fact that it's 4 young men that are missing and the circumstances are so vague right now.
For people who've lived in New Hope for years and others who are just getting a taste of this picturesque part of Pennsylvania, they say something like this is so far out of the norm.
Just laid back and, a lot of shopping and things like that, and that's why we came down here. It just all seems just so tragic and sad, and it can happen anywhere.
Does it surprise you?
Yeah. This is a quiet community
that's now been rocked by an investigation stretching into week 2. An investigation hitting too close to home.
This is just shocking. I feel so sad for the families of the kids that are lost.
Deanna, the district attorney, had been having news conferences at 11 o'clock and 3 o'clock every day, except today. He canceled that 3 o'clock news conference.
He did, and a spokesperson says that there is just a lot going on in this case, and it is unclear if that news conference will be scheduled for the rest of the day or if he will continue those 11 a.m. briefings we've been bringing you live here on NBC 10. We can tell you that we have learned that Cosmo DiNardo attended briefly a college in Montgomery County in Cheltenham Township. He was there for the fall semester of 2015, and when he tried to come back in 2016, the university told him he was not allowed on campus.
They're combing through vast fields and buildings. They're down 12 foot deep in a hole that's getting deeper by the minute.
The hole is so deep and unstable, the district attorney says safety experts have to shore it up so crime scene and evidence workers can continue the hunt and recovery for human remains.
They're tenderly, painstakingly, reverentially recovering the remains of people that they do not even know.
The DA says that hole was recently dug, and he says the remains found so far contain those of 19-year-old Dean Finocchiaro of Langhorne. The families of 3 other missing men are waiting for word.
They're exhibiting great grace and poise. I pray I never have to be in this situation, but if I ever were, They've really been a model of graves and poise.
All 4 went missing sometime between Wednesday and Friday of last week. Cosmo DiNardo was named a person of interest in the case. His parents own the farm, where sources say forensic evidence that led them to believe a violent crime occurred has been found since as early as Monday. Now, we can tell you that investigators have utilized cell phone records. They've also used mobile license plate readers to be able to try and pinpoint where those 4 were last seen. And we're told that they were all within this area of the DiNardo family farm between Wednesday and Friday, though investigators are still not talking about a direct link between all 4 of these men and their person of interest in the case. That is the very latest. Reporting live in Solebury Township, Deanna Durante, NBC 10 News.
Deanna, quick question. Do we know anything else about the university? I know you have been digging and working your sources to find out a lot about DiNardo's time there.
We did confirm with investigators in Cheltenham Township that they did receive a letter about this incident, multiple incidents, according to university spokespeople who tell us that there were verbal altercations between DiNardo and members of the university community. And we were told by the university spokesperson that that caused some concern on campus, so they alerted public safety, and it was ultimately decided that DiNardo was not allowed to re-enroll in the university. In fact, they say that they sent certified letters to him and his parents saying that if he was on the campus, that was trespassing.
Cosmo DiNardo woke up in a jail cell just hours after investigators revealed human remains buried on his family's property. Today, our cameras spotted his defense attorney, Fortunato Perry Jr., entering and then a few hours later leaving the Bucks County Courthouse.
I'm representing Cosmo.
He's tasked with defending the 20-year-old person of interest. DiNardo is being held on a $5 million cash bail.
That tells you that they certainly don't want to let him out.
Former prosecutor David Zelis says the case is moving quickly. NBC 10 has learned a grand jury was convened and DiNardo's parents were asked to testify.
It's important to, while everything is fresh in people's mind, to get them on the record.
But other legal experts tell us investigators still need more evidence, specifically linking the buried human remains to a specific suspect or possibly multiple suspects.
Unless somebody has exclusive access to a property, it may be others. And I think the prosecution would be carefully looking to see whether or not there were any other participants.
In Doylestown, Randy Gyllenhaal, NBC 10 News.
Cosmo DiNardo has just confessed to taking part in the killing of 4 men. NBC 10's Randy Gyllenhaal is live in Doylestown. Randy, I understand his lawyer may have also pointed authorities to where some of the bodies might be.
Yeah, and this is happening within just the past 10 minutes or so in the pouring rain out here in the courthouse. DiNardo's attorney, Paul Lang, came outside and gave a brief statement to reporters gathered here, and this is the information that his attorney gave to us. According to this attorney, Cosmo DiNardo confessed to being a participant in the act of killing the 4 missing men, and as well also spoke to the district attorney and investigators, telling them where some of the bodies may be located. At this point, we do not know those locations. According to this attorney, Paul Lang, Cosmo also made a deal with prosecutors that they would not seek the death penalty in lieu of this confession. That's according to the defense attorney. We're also told that we will have an update from the district attorney tonight on this issue. Again, just to wrap up this major breaking news and this development in the case, there is a confession from Cosmo DiNardo telling prosecutors he did have a role in committing the killings of these 4 men, as well as giving the location of those bodies. So we do know that a plea deal, some sort of agreement has been made with prosecutors where they take the death penalty off the table. This comes after just about less than 24 hours since the first announcement that those human remains were found buried on the DiNardo family property. We are told that the parents of DiNardo have also spoken with investigators, but right now what we can confirm is that DiNardo, Cosmo DiNardo, 20 years old, the person of interest in this case, has confessed and will seek a deal with prosecutors where they do not seek the death penalty. We're going to gather a lot more and give you a part of that interview with his attorney coming up at 6 o'clock. For now, reporting live in Bucks County, I'm Randy Gyllenhaal, NBC 10 News.
We've got a team of reporters up there in Bucks County too, Randy. We're going to check back in with you.
NBC 10 breaking news.
Right now at 6, we are following two major breaking news stories. A thunderstorm warning in our area. But first, a confession in the case of 4 missing men in Bucks County.
The person of interest in that case, Cosmo DiNardo, just admitted to being part of the killing of 4 missing men just minutes ago. We learned he has made a deal with prosecutors. DiNardo was already in custody on $5 million bail, accused of stealing one of the missing men's cars.
Now his attorney tells us he's confessed. Prosecutors will not seek the death penalty.
Last night, police found human remains in what they call a common grave on a farm, a 12-foot deep hole there. It's on that sprawling farm in Solebury Township that's owned by Cosmo DiNardo's family.
So far, investigators have only identified one of the bodies as one of the missing men, Dean Finicario. The 4 men went missing last week. Let's get right to NBC 10's Randy Gyllenhaal live at the courthouse in Doylestown. Randy, you just spoke with one of Cosmo DiNardo's attorneys.
Yeah, this major development happening just about 40 minutes ago. It came during a very hectic half hour just after 5 p.m. The district attorney came out of the courthouse first, promising a big announcement coming up in the next few minutes. He did not have much to say, but then a few minutes later, it was Cosmo DiNardo's defense team who walked out and made this big announcement that DiNardo has confessed to the killings of those 4 missing men, saying he either took part in committing those 4 murders, also agreeing to some sort of plea deal with prosecutors that they would not seek the death penalty because of this confession. Now, DiNardo, of course, has been in jail for the past day or so. According to his attorney, Paul Lang, this confession means that the death penalty is off of the table. We also asked his attorneys whether DiNardo may have had any help in committing these crimes or covering it up. At this point, they had no comment on that, referring us to law enforcement. All of this comes less than 24 hours after the district attorney revealed for the first time that they had discovered human remains on the DiNardo family property. Take a listen. We just spoke with his defense team just a few minutes ago.
Cosmo DiNardo gave a full confession to the district attorney. That full confession was so much that he admitted to his participation or the commission of the 4 murders. Additionally, in lieu of that and in favor of that, the Commonwealth will not be seeking the death penalty. So Cosmo was spared life in terms of giving all of his relevant information that he possibly could.
And some of that information included the locations of the bodies of those 4 missing men. We asked where exactly those locations might be. At this point, they again referred us to law enforcement. One big question we had was motive. I asked the attorney why, and he said right now they can't comment on that either. But we are told that the district attorney here in Bucks County will be providing an update sometime tonight. We're not sure the time right now, but that is what they promised just about 5 o'clock, that there would be major developments in this case. And as we've learned, a confession from Cosmo DiNardo. Live in Doylestown, I'm Randy Gyllenhaal, NBC 10 News.
All right, Randy, and staying with this major story, we want to turn now to NBC 10's Deanna Durante, who's been following this case for days now. Deanna, what's the latest from your location in Solebury Township where that digging has been going on?
Well, we can tell you that investigators are still out here, but we've been working our sources trying to find out more about that confession, what happened inside that room. We can tell you that defense attorneys, prosecutors were in that room with Cosmo DiNardo and his parents for most of the day, and those negotiations wrapped up around 2 o'clock this afternoon. We can tell you that a source very close to those negotiations tells us that 3 bodies were discovered here on the farm property and that they were still looking for another one, and that part of this plea deal is giving up the location of where that 4th person may be in this case. We're also told that avoiding the death penalty for Cosmo DiNardo was a priority here for the defense team. There was some talk earlier about grand jury proceedings. Sources tell us that the parents did not testify in front of a grand jury. Instead, today, most of the work being done, giving that information to investigators that they needed so that they could provide closure to the 4 families involved here. That is the very latest, but we can tell you investigators will still be continuing to work out here on this farm as they continue to dig for evidence. But we do know that that confession has been given and was wrapped up by 2 o'clock this afternoon. Reporting live in Solebury Township, Deanna Durante, NBC 10 News.